Well, hello there, everybody, on this very rare midday live stream here as we're watching along here with the NFL trade deadline here on Station Sports. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. My name is King, and boy, there's some moves. There's already been some moves. ELS in the chat. He's been keeping us abreast. We've been checking out some of the tweets, the twats that have been going on here. And let me tell you, folks, there is. It was looking like, hey, maybe it's not going to be too much. Maybe it's not going to be too bad. No, we've had a lot. We've already had probably the biggest one of the day so far, which we thought was, and now it's kind of the Jets are really taking control here of the trade deadline as they have gone. They traded away Sauce Gardner. They've traded him to the Colts. What was the official return on that? I think it was 2 1s, I think, from what we understand. Here from the Jets, we see that we've acquired the 2026 first-round pick and 2027 first-round pick, along with Adonai Mitchell as the guy that cost the Colts the game against the Rams. So, looks like they were willing to go ahead and get rid of him. In exchange for cornerback Sauce Gardner pending physicals. So, that's what's been going on there. ELS in the chat, he says, I've been busy with trade reports, plus I got to catch a train, of course. ELS, you've always got to catch a train. So that's it. The Colts are big buyers, and they went ahead. They gave up the two, and plus Sauce just got a big contract extension this year too. So that's something to keep in mind. I'm not sure if that was if there was any sort of somebody's getting the are the Jets keeping some of the contract or not or whatever. If that was part of it, I would doubt that. So even with that being the case, then I think the Colts are definitely obviously showing that they're all in. But wait, ladies and gentlemen, there's more, because the Jets have also traded Quinnen Williams, their star Pro Bowl defensive tackle, to the Cowboys. Cowboys are going to be sending a first-round pick in return. And it also says there's more to this. I don't know if we've seen that yet. We're going to see. So Quinnen Williams going to the Cowboys. Jerry Jones, he saw it last night and said, nope, not doing this. We are not doing this anymore. So we'll see. Is this going to help the Cowboys? Will this propel the Cowboys to maybe contending for a wild card spot here? I think the division is far, far too out of the question. But we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Let's see. This is from Ian Rappaport. The Cowboys are trading Jets Pro Bowl defensive tackle Quinnen Williams, sending first-round pick and more. That's all we said. Okay. I wonder what the and more is here. First-round pick to the Jets. More comp is coming. The full expected trade is going to be a 2027 first-round pick and a 2026 second-round pick for Quinnen Williams. So the Jets will get a second-round pick this year coming up from the Cowboys, and then a first-round pick in 2 years. Ian Rappaport saying that the Cowboys using some of the draft capital they got in the Micah Parsons trade in getting Quinnen Williams. Maybe, I don't know how that goes. I have seen that report as well, ELS, that the Packers have as well. I believe it was the Packers and maybe the Steelers as well have given a call to the Raiders about tight end Michael Mayer. So we'll see how that goes. That report comes from Easton Butler, according to ELS there in the chat. So the Jets are stocking up on draft picks. It's a rebuild again for the New York Jets. The 18th, 19th, 20th rebuild in the last 60 years for that franchise. We'll see. Again, my heart and soul go out to you, Jet fans. My brother's a Jet fan. My sister-in-law's husband is a Jet fan. And as much as I bitch and complain about being a Giants fan and how miserable it's been, and it has been for the last 15 years, these people have gone through a lifetime. They've had a lifetime of misery. So that sucks. So we'll see again. The Jets clearly showing that they are 100% starting over, and we'll see what happens for them. Maybe it'll work this time. Looking to see if there's any more. Let's see. Yeah, along with the second round is just looking up the information here. Oh, the Cowboys are sending Mazi Smith to the Jets as well. Defensive tackle. So it's a defensive tackle trade there. Quinnen Williams for Mazi Smith and 2 picks, 2026 second round pick, 2027 first round pick for Quinnen Williams going to the Cowboys. Looking around here. Right now, the New York Jets' future draft picks include 2026 first, 2026 first, 2026 second, 2026 second, and 3 first-round picks in 2027. 2 from one, obviously they'll have, and also 1 from the Colts and 1 from the Cowboys. So the Jets are loaded up. And again, as we've seen what the Cowboys have done here, maybe before we get to 2020, you have 3 first-round picks. If you're still trying to rebuild in 2 years, maybe you can use them, but maybe you don't need those. Maybe you use that to get a piece here or there next year. If you're trying to build up that. So those draft picks don't mean exactly that they're going to be draft picks, that they can be used maybe to get a piece here from a trade, get a piece there from a trade. Let's see what happens with the Jets. But obviously it's clear the Jets are in full rebuild mode now again. And you can say probably in tank mode. And again, like I've always said, the players aren't going to tank. The players aren't going to, they're like, oh, we're not going to play. Like, that's not what the players are going to do. But clearly, management, the GM, ownership, they're saying, we are giving the fuck up. So the Jets have waved the white flag. Now, there have been some earlier trades, but we can cover those. None of those quite as blockbustery as the New York Jets have pulled off here in the last little bit here. Crafty in the chat, he says the Colts and the Jets' histories have been inextricably intertwined ever since the Colts gave the Jets their first and only Super Bowl ring. Obviously, that was when Joe Namath made his infamous deal with Satan himself to win that Super Bowl, and it's been cursing the Jets ever since. ELS says that the Colts have just become legit with this trade. I think the Colts were legit anyway. I really do. Again, they had a bad game last week against the Steelers, but they've played a lot better against a lot better opponents than I think we all thought the Steelers were or are, even at this point. No offense, Chip. So I think the Colts were legitimate anyway. This is a legitimate this is a move that says the Colts are not just thinking like, oh, wow, it'd be nice to make the playoffs. They're like, wow, we're doing really good. Let's see if we can get to that ship. Let's see if we can get to the bowl. Let's see if we can get out there to Santa Clara and play for the number 60. That's what they're looking for. Crafty in the chat says, nice to know the Cowboys traded away an elite pass rusher just so they could trade for an elite pass rusher with the draft picks they got from trading the elite pass rusher. It's really kind of a 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other, as they say. ELS giving us some of the latest rumors here, by the way. The Cowboys are apparently in talks to acquire Bradley Chubb and Minkah Fitzpatrick from the Dolphins before the trade deadline. Chubb is most likely on the move, with both the 49ers and the Cowboys very interested in acquiring him. Minkah, we are told, could be a package deal if the Cowboys win the trade discussion. So Jerry looked like Jerry's tired of hearing everybody talk shit. He's like, we're gonna shore up the defense one way or another, and we'll see if that works. But right now, listen, the Cowboys defense couldn't be any worse than what they've been. So with the moves that the Cowboys have been making here, this is going to help their defense, because the Cowboys also made a trade earlier on. If we look here, they went and they traded for the Bengals Logan Wilson. They traded a 2026 7th-round pick to the Bengals for linebacker Logan Wilson. Wilson, who was previously requested a trade, as I can't talk here. He's totaled 46 combined tackles, 4 passes defended, and a fumble recovery this season. And he's registered 100-plus combined tackles in each of the last 4 seasons. And he's in the second year of a 4-year $36 million contract. I'm not sure why the Bengals were kind of having him on the bench, and that's what caused the trade request, and why there. I don't know if is there friction with the Bengals themselves. Is there I don't know. I don't know what the internal problem was with Wilson and the Bengals, but the Cowboys do get him. Listen, is he a world-changing linebacker? No, but he's a good linebacker. And that's what it is. Now you add that with Quinnen Williams going there, and now if the rumors are to be believed that the Cowboys are trying to get Bradley Chubb and Minkah Fitzpatrick both from the Dolphins in a bit of a package deal, all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, we have to see the pieces there, but that's a massive, massive improvement for one of the most derided and made fun of defensive units in the NFL. Drafty in the chat says, Jerry, he says, we're going to shore up this D that inexplicably lacks a pass rush this year. Yeah, we don't know why the pass rush isn't working, but I'll say this. If they're able to get these pieces here, I think it would still, you would still like to have Micah Parsons there. But the cumulative effect of all these pieces together, you're only getting them because you have the draft capital to move because of the Parsons trade. And as we're getting to the deadline, maybe some teams get more desperate. And maybe that's what Jerry was waiting for too. Like a predator in the weeds, And now he's pouncing. Because he's like, oh, Dolphins suck. Hey, Dolphins, you want a couple draft picks? I know you're going to look for them draft picks. I don't know why I turned him into a Louisiana Bayou guy. But, yeah, it feels like that. It feels like Jerry was waiting, and the Cowboys are record-wise right in the middle there. What are they, 3-5-1? So, not great. But they're not completely out of the playoff picture yet. And with that offense that they have now, again, the offense only scored one touchdown yesterday. So take that as you will. But the Cowboys' offense for this season, other than last night's game, has been a top offense. So if you just shore up the defense a little bit, that's what I mean. This feels like the Cowboys and Jerry are saying, hey, listen, we're going to go for the wild card. We are going to make a playoff push. We are not sellers. We are buyers, and we're going to see what we can do. Maybe are the Cowboys? Here's the other thing. Here's the other question I got to ask. Even if the Cowboys had Micah Parsons, do they have the same record they have now? Are they any better? Any worse? Do they beat the Packers instead of tie them in Week 4? Do they beat the Eagles in Week 1 instead of lose by one score? And again, I think that's more in CeeDee Lamb not being able to hold on to a goddamn ball than not having Micah Parsons. I think you can make the arguments either way with that. I don't know how much better would the Cowboys record be if they had Micah Parsons. Are they much better than 3-5-1? ELS says, King, do you think the Giants will trade away Russell Wilson? Who would pick him up? Who would want him? That's the way. The Cincinnati Bengals were desperate for a quarterback, and even they didn't kick the tires on Russell Wilson. Who's picking up Russell Wilson? I'm sure the Giants would love to get rid of him. I'm sure the Giants would say, hey, somebody, if you can get a bag of balls for him and maybe a Dunkin' Donuts, that's great. But I don't think anybody's calling the Giants and being like, hey, what do you want from Russell Wilson? This might be the Giants like, hey, anybody want him? Anybody want him? Starting to bid at $1, $1. Check in here, seeing what we got as far as any more moves. Nothing quite yet. Nothing latest on the moves. Still just the latest move we see here is the Jets looking at for some of the rumors here. ELS keeping us abreast of what is happening there. I'm still the big one I'm hearing is that the Steelers want to get Olave since they missed out on Jacoby Myers. They're going to try to go push all in to get Olave. Let's see if that happens. ELS says you can see Russell going to the Raiders. Again, is he an improvement over Geno Smith? I don't think so. Why would you? And not only that, why would the Raiders trade for somebody when they are out of it? They are out of any kind of race, any kind of playoff race, any kind of anything. The Raiders are sellers. They're not buyers right now. So he's not getting traded to the Raiders. The Raiders will start Kenny Pickett if he's ever ready before they'll do that with Russell Wilson. Who else would pick up Russell Wilson? I don't think anybody's picking up Russell Wilson. It would break my heart if the Giants traded Jameis Winston. At this point, I want Jameis. Jameis is really the only thing I think holding any of that locker room together right now. So, okay, so when it comes to that deal with the Jets, this is the latest thing to come out about this. This comes from Schefter. When it comes to that trade for the 2027 first-round pick that the Cowboys will send the Jets, it'll be whichever pick is higher. It'll either be the Cowboys pick or the Packers pick. So whichever team is worse, that's the pick that will be sent to the Jets. Bless you. Jets get to hire the draft picks. Let's see. Yeah, Brees Hall was he's been rumored to be traded for a while now. Seahawks, Flacco, Waka Flocka. He's saying Flocka Waka, Waka Flocka, Flika Flocka. I love you, Flock. Thank you so much for joining us here in the chat. He says, we are going to see Brees moved. If this is any indication, this is the Jets' absolute fire sale. You got rid of Sauce, Defensive Rookie of the Year. You got rid of Quinnen Williams. It seems to me like Brees Hall would be on the way out anyway because he has not been as productive in the Jets' eyes since that first season, his rookie season there with the Jets. Yeah, Crafty, that's a good point, too. It really wouldn't make sense for old Pete Carroll there out there in Vegas to want Wilson back in after he was kind of pushed out in the first place of Seattle. Like, he's the one who originally pushed him out. And if anybody remembers, there was not really too many sad eyes there in Seattle once Russell got moved. It was kind of like a, boy, thanks for all the fish. See you later. Thanks for giving us whatever. See you later. That's what we got from the Seattle players. And then obviously in Denver, we heard about the whole separate locker room on a different floor, something like that. Then Sean Payton came in, and Sean Payton immediately hated him, like vehemently hated him, and all of that. So again, I don't think there's a market out there, even as a backup for Russell Wilson. Flock in the chat, he says, I honestly like what the Jets are doing. They just have to draft correctly. Well, that's the thing. Again, we're going to be entering the Jets' 67th rebuild here, or whatever it is. You know, probably the 30th rebuild in 60 years. If you think that, you know, if you break it down, it's probably been every 2 years. But Tom Pelissaro, latest tweet, as you see that popped up there. He says, on a wild day in Florham Park in beautiful, beautiful, windy New Jersey today, the Jets are not expected to trade Brees Hall, though there is still over an hour left until the deadline. So we got it. That's it. Right now it's 2:35. We have an hour and 25 minutes left on the trade window before it is officially closeth. Let me see. Can I open this? I want to open this. Here we go. Brees Hall with just the ellipses mark on his Twitter. Brees Hall is just like, come on, man. He's Brees wants out. Brees wants out. He's like, free me. Everybody else gets to leave. Lord, I see you doing miracles for others, and that's what I want for myself. Flock also says, yeah, they have 3 first-round picks in the first round. They have 3 first-round picks. And so they can use those, or they can use them as draft capital for trading purposes. They can either trade up if they're not if there's a truly number 1 overall quarterback that they want to get. They can use those, trade it to everybody. They can try to do what they can do things like that. They can pick up other little pieces here or there if that's what they're looking for. They have the Jets. What this does is it gives them options in the rebuild. But I think if you ask Jet fans, like I was talking to my brother earlier today, big Jet fan, his whole thing is just it's another rebuild. It's just how many times have Jet fans seen this, and it's just like, all right, we're burning it to the ground, gonna start all over. Let's start from the top. And it's you do it, and it goes just over and over. It's just a never-ending merry-go-round for the Jet fans. So, like, we're on the outside of it looking in and being like, all right, yeah, no, makes sense. Looks like a good move. Looks like something. If you're a bad team, this is how you want to get it. But Jet fans see this, and it's just like, here we go again. Doing the same shit, different decade. And that's where we're looking at here. Crafty in the chat says, Brees Hall. Trying to free Brees Hall. Free Brees! Dad Joke King Crafty there in the chat. Crafty says, oh, maybe the Jets are trying to up the ante. Say, okay, we're really not going to trade. We traded these other guys, but we're going to hold on to Brees Hall. Maybe try to jack the price up a little bit and maybe get somebody to sweeten the pot, as it were. Could be. Because, like I said, the trade rumors around – I heard more trade rumors around Brees Hall than I did around Sauce or Quinnen Williams. And now those two have been traded and Brees is still on the team. That seems a little weird. Or they can do with Jerry and trade for the same player positions that they just traded away in the first place. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be the thing. Flock in the chat, he says, be prepared to see the Seahawks make a move. I've been hearing Cesar Ruiz. Well, you guys already got Rashid Shaheed from the Saints, which I think is a good pickup. For a team that is already playing offensively very well, you've added now a nice other piece there. Olave's name is still one that's being tossed around. Obviously, we know the Steelers are kind of connected to him. Will he go there? Will somebody else swoop in and make a better trade offer for him? Or will he stay in New Orleans? Will New Orleans say, hey, we want to build around this guy? Or is New Orleans going to do what the Jets are doing and say, get rid of it all, full, utter rebuild with Kellen Moore there in his first year? Because that's it. You have Aaron Glenn there with the Jets in Florham Park, and you have Kellen Moore down there with the Saints. Both first-year coaches, both not having the best time right now. Although I would say personally in watching the games, it feels like the Saints are playing harder and better football than the Jets are right now. So we'll see. So is this going to be a case where the Saints say we're going to try to hold on to the pieces, some of the pieces that we have, as a foundation, or are they going to go full Jets and say we're ripping it down to the soil and then rebuilding from there? Interesting to see what happens. As again, 2:40 currently right now here on the East Coast in the Eastern Standard Time. Now that we've fallen back to the regular time, which please can we just keep it at that standard time, please? Thank you. Just leave it at this now. Stop leaping forward. Stop falling back. One time, whatever. It's not World War I anymore. We don't need it. ELS says, I'm hoping the Packers can make a trade for a wide receiver or a tight end or a cornerback. One of three. Or maybe all three. Hey, we got time. We got time to see. Maybe the Packers will pick up Olave. That'll be a big pickup. I think picking up Olave would immediately become wide receiver 1 there. You got to see about the tight end because obviously with Tucker Kraft being out for the year now, you want to see if you can maybe hopefully replace him with somebody who is close to as reliable as he's been this year for Jordan Love and the connection that they had going. But I'm not sure who would you get and who would be available. So I think that's really the question now that you have to ask. As you said, Michael Mayer has been linked to a couple of to a trade rumors. So we'll see. Crafty in the chat says, Eastern Standard Time, the only time that matters, baby. That's right. East Coast bias for the win. Woo, woo. Flock in the chat saying that the latest rumor he's hearing is that the last Jets trade will be involving Jermaine Johnson, linebacker. Who would be looking for a linebacker right now, and where would he go? That's good. So let's see. This comes from Connor Hughes on Twitter. 2 names to watch, Jermaine Johnson and Breece Hall, obviously for the Jets. That's who we've talked to. There are offers from teams on the table for both, just a matter if the Jets accept them, considering the deals for Quentin Williams and Sauce Gardner. Have to think that the chances of those happening is high. The rumor, according to Flock, is that it's the 49ers, and that makes sense. Obviously, Fred Warner going down. You want to get some kind of linebacker there. It depends on what they're willing to give up. Lynch is a very good GM, so we'll see. Apparently, from what we're seeing here, is that the Jets are reportedly asking for at least a second-round pick for Jermaine Johnson. Anything breaking? Anything breaking? No, nothing yet. No big breaking news now yet that we've seen while we've been on the air. Nothing. It happened right before we went on the air that the Jets traded Quentin Williams. So we'll see. Flock says, King, what do you think about the Rashid Shaheed trade? I like it. Like I said, you took a very potent offensive weapon and put him on a team that has played offensively well, and now that's going to be a problem because obviously we know Jackson Smith-Njigba has had one hell of a season already. But teams are going to obviously start focusing on him, maybe double teaming him, double coveraging. If that's going to leave Rashid Shaheed open, that's going to be a problem. So now it's going to be, for these teams, it's going to be pick your poison. And it's going to have to be a lot more man coverage on one-on-one coverage, with either JSN or Shaheed. And those guys have shown that even on one-on-one coverage, they will beat you. On 50-50 balls, they'll beat you. So, I mean, I think I think that's a great trade for Seattle, and it shows that they are all in on this season. They're saying, hey, listen, right now, by like a technicality, the Eagles might be first overall in the conference, but we feel like we are the number one team in the conference. They're playing it like they are right now. And I think that's a great trade. I think it's 100% great trade. And that's the thing. Jackson Smith and Jigba has been double covered already a lot this season and is still putting up the numbers that he has. So the fact that he's been able to do that with that, and now you're going to have Shaheed on the other side, again, that's anything that can take that pressure off, anything that gives you another option for Sam Darnold. And obviously we know Sam Darnold can sling it. He can put it right where it needs to be. I mean, look at that game against Washington. Played well. Look at how he's done the rest of the season. Has played well. They had to shoot out with the Buccaneers, even though they lost that game. Again, great offensive plays there. I think it's great trade. Great trade. Nice couple little back and forth tweets here. Diana Rossini tweeted a reaction from a league source to the Jets' 2 deadline day trades. The league source said they took a top 5 defense and tore it apart, to which fellow YouTuber Brandon Perna, I think, made a very good point. He said, I wouldn't trust that league source. The Jets' defense isn't close to top 5 in any category in the year 2025, and that's true, too. Like, for as much as the Jets' defense should be a top 5 defense, as much as on paper the Jets should have a fantastic defense, they've just never put it together. In the couple of years that defense has been together, they've just never been able to put together a defense that has looked like it should have on paper. On the field, like on paper, that it looked like they should be world beaters. On the field, it never put together. Now you can say it's because the offense didn't work. The offense was always going 3 and out, even with Aaron Rodgers there. With the offense being as inefficient as it was, defense was always on the field. It's obviously going to cause, a skew in the stats. But even with that, that team has not been able, that defense, has not been able to live up to what we thought they should be. Like when the Jets first got Aaron Rodgers and we looked at that defense and we looked at what the Jets could be, it was like, boy, man, the Jets with a very good defense and they're going to have Aaron Rodgers. If that offense can get working, boy, it's going to be great. But then not only did the Jets offense not obviously perform like they were hoping, but the defense didn't play well either. So if you have individual pieces that are very good, but together as a unit, they're just not working, and you can't seem to put them together, at that point, I think it's better to trade them off, get something for them, and try to rebuild it and see, what you could do. And I know some people would say, well, that's dumb. Why would you get rid of good pieces that you already have? But just because you have the good pieces, they're not – what are the results on the field? They're not good. Seahawks said, "Oop, just came out. Brees wants to be traded." He said that a couple times already, though. And like I said, even today, he just had the tweet with just the ellipses after he saw Sauce and Quinnen traded. He just put out the 3 little dots of just like, waiting. Kind of waiting. And this comes from Jordan Schultz, that it just came out. Obviously, you see it just popped up there. It says, Jets running back Brees Hall wants to be traded, I'm told, says Jordan Schultz. Says a little over an hour until the trade deadline, but Brees, quote-unquote, wants to be out. Again, we saw this like a couple weeks ago where he was kind of hinting towards that way and having those cryptic tweets of that sort of nature. So we know Brees doesn't want to be there. He sees this as his opportunity to get out. And again, in that kind of situation, why wouldn't you? What talented player on the Jets is like? You think Garrett Wilson wants to be there too? I bet you Garrett Wilson is sitting there hoping, praying he's going to get traded. Probably not. The Jets are going to try to hold on to just something. They need something to hold on to, I guess. So I don't know if they're going to do a full fire sale and trade. Which is what makes me question. I think someone's going to have to maybe knock their socks off to see if they get to get Brees. Because the Jets might just say, "Hey, listen, we want to have at least a couple of pieces here to see what we can do." Although when you look on the defensive side of the ball, you get rid of Sauce and you get rid of Quinn Williams. What solid pieces you have there? And especially then if they also trade Jermaine Johnson, like I don't know. I don't. Again, it's the Jets. It's hard to tell what the thinking is there. Yeah, I think they're keeping Wilson too. I don't think they're trading him. And I don't know if they'll trade Brees Hall. Again, he wants to get out. The rumors about him being traded have been out there. I don't know if the Jets are going to do it though. Like I don't know if they want to do it. I think it feels like that they're again like Wilson. They're going to try to hold on to like, oh, we want to have at least a couple pieces here so that if we get a good quarterback either this year or in 2027, we can work on building from there. Unless Brees really makes himself a problem, or unless somebody makes an absolutely knock your socks off offer. I don't know. And again, like was said before, maybe this is the Jets just trying to drive the price up a little bit, saying like, well, he wants out, and other people are saying they want him, but we're really not sure. We're really thinking about just stopping there and keeping our guys where they are, to force a team to be like, okay, well, we think he's a key piece that we can use to get us over the hump, to be true contenders. What do you want for him? How many draft picks do you want there? And in that case, I think the Jets would be amenable to listening. Flock in the chat says, rumor has it that the 49ers and the Bears are both in on Jermaine Johnson. So the Jets might have the pick of the litter there and see get these two teams into a bidding war, which is, of course, like we're talking about everything else, is something here. We got people saying, Ben Arthur on Twitter saying that the Colts overpaid for Sauce Gardner. I guess, listen, if he can get you to a championship, is it overpaid? I don't know. I think at that point the price would be right. The New York Jets are top 5 in underachieving defensively. Yes, they're definitely not a top 5 defense. And they haven't been. They haven't been. I wish there was. Is there a trade rumors like account that I can see here? ELS in the chat says the Titans are open to trading every player except Cam Ward and defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons. So again, I think the Titans are going to be in that kind of full rebuild mode as well. We've already saw that they have who did they traded someone earlier today, didn't they? Draymond Jones. That's who they got. They got Draymond Jones to the Ravens. So, and it seems like, yeah. That's what I'm trying to find. That's why I have on the screen right now. I have a tweet aggregator here. Obviously, it's actually from the Rubber Room. So I got the tweet aggregator from the Rubber Room here, just so if something happens, it'll pop up there and we'll know and we'll see as soon as it's out there. But listen, any trade rumor is just that it's a rumor. It's not anything that you can really trust or put a lot of faith in, but it's just any information that might be leaking out from particular NFL sources. So that's why you always have to say, sources say that there could be possibly maybe a thing that happens. That would be interesting, ELS. Don't rule out a Vikings trade at quarterback. They desperately need a backup. Watch the Vikings trade with the Giants for Russell Wilson. That'd be terrible. You better really hope J.J. McCarthy doesn't get injured. See here, latest rumors. Right now, still a lot buzzing around the Jets and whether they're going to trade Jermaine Johnson, Breece Hall, or both. Who would the Vikings get at quarterback? Who's available out there that would be a viable backup quarterback? I'm eliminating Russell Wilson right now. I don't think anybody wants him. Even for the low price, I don't think anybody wants him. ELS, again, giving us a little bit of an update here, saying as far as sources and rumors and insiders, saying that the New York Giants have recently fielded calls about the availability of offensive lineman Evan Neal and wide receiver Jalen Hyatt. Those are two that I would be fine with letting go. I think Evan Neal has improved moving to guard instead of being tackle, but still not a fantastic, wonderful offensive lineman. So I could see him being moved. And same with Jalen Hyatt. I think there was a lot of potential there. He just has not fulfilled that. And you can blame that on offensive play calling. You can blame that on quarterback play. You can blame it on coaching. You can blame it on anything. But he has not turned out to be who the Giants or who we Giant fans had hoped for. So Jalen Hyatt leaving as well, not the worst thing in the world either. And if you get something for him, you get something for him. That would be fine. ELS says maybe Kirk Cousins back to Minnesota. That would start a lot, and I think that would that be good for McCarthy? You got to look at, I would look at it from maybe the mentality standpoint of just like, here's this guy in Minnesota who had a lot of success there, never wanted to leave. You have all that. Plus, the contract is a huge issue. Like, that's going to be the thing because the Falcons say they want a fairly high draft pick for him, and whoever trades for him is going to have to pick up a significant portion of the contract. So you're paying a lot of money then for a quarterback that if we're essentially a backup, and you're that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot to give up, and that's a lot to cover for a backup quarterback that, as we've seen so far in his time, at least in Atlanta, not great. He has not had any of the same, and even in Minnesota, he was good and at times great, but never really consistently great. Flock says that Breece has just officially, rumor is anyway, that Breece Hall has officially, formally handed in his trade request. Did so in a tuxedo and everything. It was very formal. ELS says the Cardinals are gearing up for a potential Kyler Murray trade in the offseason. I don't know, but it was a very interesting point that was brought up by Bruce Arians today on the Pat McAfee show, saying, as somebody who has dealt with obviously ownership and people who pay the contracts and do things like that, the fact that the Cardinals have given him so much money and paid him that contract that he has and signed all that and everything, he feels like that it doesn't matter what the coach thinks, doesn't matter what the fans think, doesn't matter what we all think, that once Kyler Murray is 100% healthy, that he will be the starter. And that will come on high. That command will be given from on high. So this thought process of Kyler Murray being traded before the trade deadline, I think that is probably not going to happen. And then it just depends on the offseason. Like if he comes back and shits the bed for the Cardinals, like maybe they'll talk about it. But I mean that's going to be something. But if that's the case, if this is going to be the Cardinals just being like the sunk cost fallacy, as it were. We've given so much and we've done so much for Kyler and we invested in him and we said he's gonna be our guy, he's gonna be our guy, he's gonna be our guy. Then he's gonna be your guy until and unless and all of that. So we'll see. I mean, again, looking at just you see what's happened with the Cardinals with Brissett in instead of Kyler Murray. I don't know how you go back to him, but then again, I'm not a billionaire. I don't run an NFL team, so I don't know. All right, just more tweets about Sauce Gardner trade. Flock in the chat saying that the rumor is that the Jets want at least a third for Breece Hall. By the way, rumor here, this comes from Jonathan Jones from CBS Sports, says he does not expect the Packers to look into trading for a tight end after losing Tucker Kraft for the season, saying that the Packers instead are going to look for a larger role for their tight end, Luke Musgrave, to step up into that role. So we'll see there. Block in the chat says, yeah, that tracks, and it seems to be, yeah. The Packers are signing wide receiver Michael Woods II, though. That has just come over. This comes from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, reports that the Packers are signing wide receiver Michael Woods II to the practice squad. Woods, 25, was a sixth-round pick by the Browns out of Oklahoma in 2022. Signed a 4-year, $3.8 million rookie contract with the team. The Browns released Woods after camp last year, and he spent the season on the practice squad before assigning to the active roster in December. Cleveland waived him with an injury designation in early August. In 2024, Woods appeared in 5 games for the Browns and caught 7 passes for 65 yards and no touchdowns. So not a massive move, but there is something there for your Packers ELS. So at least you got that, I suppose. And indeed, yes, from Jordan Schultz, this all comes about Breece Hall wanting to leave, preferring to be traded today, saying that he wants to be out, citing a source within the building there at Florham Park. And there is now less than an hour for them to go ahead and pull this off. Reports are that the Jets are indeed holding out for at least a third-round pick, with the best offers currently in the fourth-round range. Tom Pelissero reports that the Jets are not expected to trade Hall as of now, but admits that there's some time to go still for things to change, and especially if somebody decides to up their offer. It seems like Hall is trying to put his finger on the scale and push it more towards, like, get me the out of here, man. Hall, 24, was a two-time All-American as well as a two-time Big 12 Player of the Year during his time at Iowa State. The Jets used a number 36 overall pick in the second round on him back in the 2022 NFL Draft. He signed a 4-year, $9.014 million contract that included a $3.7 million signing bonus. Hall is entering the final year of that deal in 2025 and will be an unrestricted free agent in 2026. So why wouldn't you trade him if you're the Jets? Because he's obviously going to make it like, I don't want to be here. He's already obviously said, I don't want to be here, trade me. So if you're going to hold on to him to the end of the season and be like, oh, we'll work out like, obviously that's not going to happen. Like, he's going to say, you can offer me the world. I'm not staying here at Florham Park. I don't want to be here. Get something for him. And maybe that's the other part of the equation, too. Maybe the Jets are saying, oh, we're going to hold on to him. But other teams are saying, like, then you're going to get nothing for him and he's going to walk. So this might be a little bit of hardball there where the Jets are like, give us a third. And other teams are like, you get a fourth and be lucky you're getting that. A little bit of that little gamesmanship going on. A little chess playing between NFL GMs. Currently this year, Hall has appeared in 8 games for the New York Football Jets and has rushed for 581 yards on 117 carries, averaging 5 yards per carry, with only 2 touchdowns to go along with his 21 receptions on 30 targets for 178 yards. He's also thrown a touchdown. So there's that. That was the game winner in Cincinnati, I believe. Crafty in the chat says the Jets organization playing chess. They can barely play hopscotch. You didn't even go checkers on it. You said they trip over everything. Ooh, that's big if true. Flock in the chat saying rumor is Deebo Samuel going from the Redskins to the Bills. That's currently being talked about, discussed, rumored, scuttlebutted. Let's see what happens with that. That would be interesting if true. Let's see. Still nothing popping off here. Let's see what we have as far as the latest here. Crafty says Washington's unloading already. It seems like they are. apparently this image was on. Let me see if I can switch over to it. No, that's not gonna work. Hold on, I'll have to do a different one. Hold on. Let's get the tweets back up there. Okay. We'll pop that up there. There we go. This was apparently on Debo's Instagram there. So maybe that's more than just a rumor. It seems like Debo's already kind of he's probably heard the news and just hasn't released to anybody else. But that's the latest that we're seeing there. There we go. So it seems like there is some legs there to the Debo Samuel rumor. Crafty in the chat says Debo more like he go. Jesus Christ. Von Miller on who is Von with? Is he with Washington? Is that where Von is? Is that where he ended up? I always forget. Von Miller's kind of bounced around, so I could see maybe they send him back to Buffalo with Debo. Maybe that's part of the catch there. Practice squad moves. Nothing breaking yet. Seahawks trade. Yeah, no, we know the Seahawks trade for Rashid Shaheed. We know that. That is now officially official. All paperwork is in. What do we got? It is currently 3:14 here on the East Coast. We have 46 minutes. Crafty says maybe Washington should trade Jaden Daniels while he still has 3 limbs left. Block E says that little fun fact here: the Seahawks' explosive pass rate before the Shaheed trade was the best since the 2001 Rams. This is what I mean, man. All of a sudden, you got to start looking at the Seahawks as legitimate NFC contenders. Like a lot of people before were saying, "Oh, the Seahawks flying under the radar, looking really." They're one of the better teams that aren't getting the attention. I think after Sunday night, and I think obviously after this trade as well, I think the nation has woken up to what I've seen at least, and obviously what you've seen, Flock. This feels like, if I'm a Seahawks fan, this is real. This is real life. This is really happening. Prepare yourself, buckle in, because I think you guys might have a real good ride coming up here in the next 2-3 months. The Seahawks can be it could be a problem. They're going to be a problem for people. And right now, like, honestly, this is why I was this close to putting them up in number one. And I'll do my countdown here in a second. Kind of going to mix everything together here during this live stream. But right now in the NFC, I think they're the best team in the NFC. I think the Colts, the Seahawks right now are the best team in the NFC. What about the Eagles? The Eagles have yet to play a full 60-minute game. We'll see how they do. Coming out from the bye after they've made their trade moves, they made a couple of really good ones. Shoring up that, let's see if they can change their mentality, if they can get things rolling like they did. Listen, last year they got a lot of good. After the bye week, they went on that massive roll. They were, I think, they went undefeated all the way through the rest of the season. After that, so. I did mention that before too, Crafty. I was like, yeah, the Colts threw Mitchell in on that Sauce Gardner trade because they were just like, hey, remember when you cost us that game against the Rams with your two, dumb mistakes? Enjoy Florham Park. Enjoy the Jets is football jail now. That's where you go. That's football. That's football hell. It literally is football hell. See you later. Enjoy your stay. That's it. How much do you want to bet that that's probably a thing in locker rooms where like GMs or coaches are like, listen, man, don't fuck up. Don't fuck up. Do you want to go to the Jets? You want to play for the Jets? Fuck up. Yes, they are. The Seahawks defense is good. The offense is amazing. Sam Darnold is playing out of his mind. I think you got to start looking at him now as well, also as an MVP candidate. More so than I think even Josh Allen or Mahomes. I don't know why those guys are always up there as far as that goes. Like, I know they're great players, but like when you look at what some of these other quarterbacks have done and what they've done for teams compared to what was last year. Like, again, I look at Daniel Jones. I still think he's an MVP candidate simply because of the numbers he's put up and how that Colts team has performed, where the only major difference between last year and this year has been Daniel Jones. And looking how that team did. Looking at Baker Mayfield in Tampa Bay. And now I think you absolutely 100% have to look at Sam Darnold in that same category of look at what they're doing. And people thought, oh, well, you lost DK Metcalf. Obviously, you got rid of Tyler Lockett. There was some turnover. There were changes. Is this going to be a transition year for the Seahawks? Look at how Sam Darnold ended last year. Is he even going to be that good? And working out pretty good so far. A lot of season left to go. Obviously, we've got 8 more weeks of football. Then the playoffs, obviously, and I would think unless there's a massive collapse from the Seahawks, and I'm not seeing that, obviously, especially with the trade they made today. You have 8 more weeks plus the playoffs. Seahawks are you have to start taking them in consideration, and if Sam Darnold keeps on playing the way that he is, he's gonna be somewhere in that top 3, top 4 for MVP voting. 1,000%. Mother, here's a statement from Colts general manager Chris Ballard on acquiring Sauce Gardner in a trade from the Jets and sending A.D. Mitchell over to them, plus a 2026 and 2027 first-round pick. Having the opportunity to acquire a talented player like Sauce Gardner was one we did not want to pass on. He was a player that we scouted heavily coming out of college, and there's a reason he was the 4th overall pick. Sauce is a proven cornerback. His skill and competitive nature will elevate everyone's play on a defensive unit. We're thrilled he's a Colt. On the same note, A.D. Mitchell is a great person and a great player who makes a lot of dumb mistakes. He didn't say that. I put that in there. We believe he will be a success with the New York Jets as he said, covering up his laugh. And we wish him all the best as he enters that next chapter of his career, as we send him off to NFL purgatory. We think he's going to be real good. We think he's going to be all right. Yeah, he's going to do real good out there with the Jets. He's going to do with the Jets. That was the actual comment, I guess. ELS letting us know, yes, we're where we saw the Deebo Samuel Instagram post showing him alongside two of his teammates there, and the broken heart emoji over it. So it seems like that is something that's going to be happening, and it could be to the Buffalo Bills, and it might be, again, kind of a package deal with him and Von Miller going back to Buffalo. The New York Jets have confirmed that Garrett Wilson is untouchable, or as Flock said, untouchable. Very French way to do it. Untouchable. He is very untouchable. Oui, Garrett Wilson. He's a very good wide receiver. We do not want to trade him. He is untouchable. Oui, you want the Breece Hall? Breece Hall get you a third-round pick. You get Breece Hall, not a fourth. We need the third-round pick. You want Garrett Wilson, the Saclay Bleu. He's untouchable. So stupid. I'm so dumb. Grafty says, Chris Ballard could have saved himself a lot of time just by saying, suck it, Mitchell. Would have been better if he did the DX suck it, too. Suck it. Enjoy your time with the Jets. By the way, before you leave, Mitchell, before you walk out that door, I got 2 words for you. Suck it. I love it. I love football. Love sitting there. Breaking news here. Nice little Q&A. Nice little relaxing live stream here. Did you guys see that Tom Brady cloned his dog? That's wild. Tom Brady has revealed that his current dog, Junie, is a clone of his late dog, Lua, who died in December of 2023. The dogs were cloned by Colossal Biosciences, a biotech company that Brady is an investor in, using blood collected prior to Lua's death. This is wild. That through all this trade deadline news and rumors and everything like that piece of news just kind of slipped on through. But yeah, Tom Brady, cloner of dogs. Listen, at least he doesn't shock him like Hassan does. So there's that. At least he only clones them and brings new life into this world and doesn't try to shock him to death. Oh, baseball news here. Yu Darvish underwent ulnar collateral ligament repair surgery last Wednesday, and they expect him to miss the entire 2026 season for the San Diego Padres. So one of the best pitchers in baseball. He's going to miss an entire season. That sucks. Crafty says Brady probably wishes he could have cloned Aaron Hernandez. Ooh. Oof. Oh, Crafty. That's bad. ELS, interesting fact there, yes. Sauce Gardner could be the first player in NFL history to play in London and Germany in the same season. Colts are playing in the Deutschland this Sunday at 9:30 in the morning against the Atlanta Falcons, which I am planning on covering. Early game there on Sunday. Deutschland, Deutschland, über alles, über allen in der Welt, bla, 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 blee, blue, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Uh, if the Falcons had been playing better, 2 weeks ago, that game seemed like it was going to be, oh, wow, that game's better than anybody thought at the beginning of the season. Now, after the last couple ones, it's, are we getting it official yet? Are we getting it official? Flock is saying, ooh, Debo might actually be gone. Treylon Burke signed to, yes, we just saw that the Redskins are signing wide receiver Treylon Burke to the 53-man roster after originally signing him to the practice squad. So, obviously, the Redskins have made a move there. We saw the Instagram post from Debo before with the broken heart emoji over the picture of him in a Redskins uniform. So, it seems like all signs are pointing towards that. So, well, let me fix this. Why is this so bad? There's the latest. From Adam Schefter, there have been 6 trades today, tied for the third most of any trade deadline day going back to 1990. There were 10 trades in November of 2022 and 8 in 2024. So we're getting a few. Maybe we're getting doing that. ELS says that he's watching the ESPN NFL trade deadline special, and you're also watching the Stay Tuned Sports trade deadline special right here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us, ELS, Flock, Crafty, and everybody else who might be watching us here. Thank you so very much. As we're just sitting around, hanging out, watching, seeing what happens here with the NFL trade deadline. I'm your boy King, hanging out. Doing a little bit of a Q&A, a little bit of a hanging out, just asking what we think might be happening, what rumors might be out there currently, and just kind of bullshitting here in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon. What time is it now currently? 3:28, so we are 32 minutes away. 32 minutes away from finding out if there are any more big blockbuster trades to happen. Right now, it looks like the Deebo Samuel trade is pretty on point, pretty ready to be. It's all done, but the announcing, it feels like there's a big feeling about that. Big feeling. And plus, ELS says he's got a train video coming out at 5 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Oh, 6. I'm sorry, 6. I was going to say, that didn't make sense. I was like, Central Time's only an hour behind. So 7 p.m. Eastern, ELS will have a brand new train video coming out over on his channel, ELS TrainTuber 501. Go give him a follow if you haven't already. ELS, one of our great guys out there. You can join us in the chat. Chat is open. Say hi, say hello, say how you're doing. If you want to help us out, please hit that like, share. And if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button as we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers and hopefully be monetized here on YouTube. If you want to help us out a little bit more directly, since we can't do super chats or memberships or anything like that, we have our donation station link in the top of the chat and in the description below. Also, we have our merch store links, top of the chat and in the description below, where you can go ahead and get the new Fuck the Ref shirts, both in hoodie and in t-shirt form. I don't have it on this one. Why don't I have it on this one? Hold on, let me see if I got to bring that over here. By the way, you can go get that over at bit.ly/staytunedmarch. That's bit.ly/staytunedmarch, or I said link in the top of the chat or in the description below. Let me see if I bring that over here. There it is. You can get your Fuck the Ref t-shirt or hoodie right there. See? Look at that. Look at that beauty. Look at that beauty. That's a nice looking shirt. That's a sweet shirt, you might say. Round. Well, it's not round, but it's pretty good looking. That is what is available over at bit.ly/stay tuned merch. bit.ly/stay tuned merch. There we go. Flock says, I expected the Bears to make a move at least at some point today. I guess not. ELS says Adam Schefter is currently working on a deal announcement. Let's see what happens here. Let's start updating. Let's start looking at the Twitter. Let's start looking at the Twitter. Let's start looking and seeing what we got from anybody here. Let's go to our boys. Let's see Ian and Lapaport. Let's see Tom Pelissero. Waiting to see the break. I was about to get up and get another cup of coffee, but now I'm going to sit and wait. I'm going to sit and wait and see. Because we might have something breaking here soon. ELS saying that Adam Schefter currently working and seeing if there is a new trade or not. There could be. Nothing as of yet. Still waiting. So we're still waiting to see. I think the Debo deal might be the next order of business. That feels like that is what's going to be coming next. As we've seen, the Redskins made the move to sign Treylon Burks to the 53-man roster off the practice squad. Though possibly a Breece Hall move for the Jets. He says he wants out. The Jets are holding firm for getting a third-round pick for him, although the two offers apparently that are on the table are only for a fourth. Crafty says that we might have something breaking other than another Jaden Daniels body part. But that's the miracle of it. That looked like the worst injury you were going to see in your life, and it turns out that he's the least injured of the three people that got injured in that Washington game. McCaffrey's out with the broken collarbone. My other man, their rookie defensive player, was it Mitchell? I forget. I feel bad. I messed up his name, but his ACL is gone. And then you saw Jaden Daniels, and you're like, oh my God, that's the worst of all three. And it turns out he will probably be able to come back this year. Although, if you're a Redskins fan, was it Lattimore? Did Lattimore? I thought it was somebody else. No. Well, I guess Lattimore's out too. So Lattimore tore his ACL, but I thought there was another Redskins player that got hurt too. It was like a rookie defensive player or somebody. It was like their third overall pick or so. It was their first round pick this year who got hurt. I think. I thought he had something too. So again, there were a lot of injuries in that game for Washington, and it looked like Daniels was going to be the worst, and it turns out his is actually not terrible. But if you're the Redskins, do you bring him back at some point? Like if he's healthy to play, or are you just like, listen, as you can see, this season's a wash. Come back next year. You know what, Crafty? You're right. I mixed the teams. I was thinking about the 49ers defensive rookie. I was thinking about 49ers, not Redskins. You're right. You're right. And when you're right, you're right. And you're always right. Still nothing on Twitter. I was waiting for something to break. You know what? I'm going to go get my cup of coffee real quick and watch. As soon as I get up, something's going to break. What do we got, boys? What do we got? Still nothing. Okay, good. I was able to go ahead and get my beverage. Nice cup of coffee, trying to stay on top of everything going on here. Again, this is Stay Tuned Sports. I'm Boy King hanging out with here on this trade deadline Tuesday. Wait until 4 p.m., which is now only 24 minutes away. Again, just a couple tweets talking about how the Jets are not trading Garrett Wilson and how Breece Hall says he wants to be traded, but the Jets have not yet traded him. Schefter thinks that there will be at least one more trade. Certainly hope that there's something as we sit around here with our thumbs up our butt. Oh, Rachel Weisz and Brendan Fraser are going to come back for a new Mummy movie. I like that. The Carolina Panthers are releasing quarterback Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker has been released in Carolina. There is one less Hooker in Carolina right now. Maybe the Raiders. Maybe that's who. Maybe Minnesota picks him up. Maybe that's the one Minnesota picks up. They don't have to trade for anybody. They can just pick him up. That comes from our good friend Ari Miroff there over at My Sports Update. And Ian keeps on scaring us with the officially official tweets here. Oh, Crafty, you don't say. I actually liked Hendon Hooker coming out of Tennessee until he had that horrific knee injury in his last season there in Tennessee. And before that, I thought he would have been a pretty high level pick until the injury. And I really did like Hendon Hooker. I think it's just it's one of those things, kind of like Teddy Bridgewater. Like, I felt like he could have been a very, 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 very good NFL quarterback, and just ended up suffering a really bad injury, and hasn't quite been the same since then. Crafty in the chat says it's kind of funny with the Quinnen Williams post there. Welcome to Dallas. We suck marginally less here. The Panthers have signed DJ Dallas and Israel Mukamu to the practice squad. They've also signed Ja'Tyre Carter to the practice squad. They've released Hendon Hooker, Michael Tarquin, and Boogie Basham. Great name, Boogie Basham. What a great name. Boogie, what you do? I bash him. Just looking around, seeing if we got any more breaking news. Sorry for the silence. That happens. That's going to happen. I'm still trying to find anything. It kind of slowed down here. We had something real fast right before I got in the air, obviously. And then since then, it's been quiet. Right before I came on the air was the Quinnen Williams trade, which would have been a great way to come onto the air. Flock says Waddle staying in Miami is confirmed. That's crazy. I would have figured they would, of all the teams to have the fire sale, I would have figured Miami would have been in on that. Instead, it was the Jets. And maybe that's the other thing, too. Maybe the market dried up. I don't know. But here's the thing. Like, if I'm a team, like, if I'm calling the Jets about Garrett Wilson and they're like, no, we're not giving him up, why not call Miami and be like, hey, I mean, what are you guys doing this year? Why are you holding on to these people? Like, you just fired Chris Greer. You just fired some of these other people. See if you can start building something for yourselves. Also, I don't know. Maybe this interim GM doesn't want to help out whoever the next guy is. He's like, I'm not going to be here. I'm not. I'm only here on an interim basis. They're not going to keep me here. So fuck it. I'm not helping the next guy. Is that maybe the thought process? I don't know. But I definitely would have moved. I definitely would have moved him. As expected, Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown has not been and will not be traded by today's deadline. Was that ever really a serious thought? Like, yeah, he bitched. Yeah, he moaned like he always does everywhere he is. But were the Eagles ever really going to trade him? And who would be asking for him? Who would get him? What? I don't think Denver. I don't think has the ability to get him. Like, if you're the Eagles, you don't want to send them anywhere in conference, so you would probably go AFC. But even then, you don't want to give them to anybody that you might face in the Super Bowl, which you're clearly trying to get to. So you wouldn't want to send them to Buffalo. You wouldn't want to send them to Kansas City. Like, again, that whole thing of just like, ooh, well, the Eagles might get rid of AJ Brown. That's why that tweet is kind of like I get it. And even Schefter says, like, as expected. Yeah, as expected, because I don't think anybody really gave it any serious thought. Like, that, to me, that feels like that was completely and wholly Philadelphia sports talk. That's all that was. That feels like, to me, that was completely and utterly all it was just answering Philly sports talk, because you had guys in there go, yeah, what are we doing with A.J. Brown? We got to get rid of this guy. He can't even catch a Wawa sandwich, and he's getting all upset because he doesn't get, he's only getting, like, looked at 2 or 3 times a game, and gabagoo. I don't think there was any chance he was ever leaving. Still waiting for some news here as we are now down to 15 minutes. 15 minutes left to go, ladies and gentlemen. 15 minutes until the trade deadline is in full effect. Still nothing breaking. You know what? While I'm here, let me pull this up. La-da-dee, la-da-doo, la-da-da. La-da-doo. Got that, and now we've got this. Nope, nothing new yet. Nothing new yet. While we're waiting for the end of the trade deadline here, and obviously if something pops off, obviously we will stop and jump on over. But like I said, since this is Tuesday, since we're doing this already, might as well get the countdown out of the way, right? So let me jump over to the vertical display here. And let's go through some of our regular countdown stuff as we're waiting around. Like I said, we are now at 14 minutes till the end of the trade deadline. Looking at Twitter, looking at everything here. As soon as something pops off, we will jump back to the main screen. But for now, let's take a look at the Booty Cheeks 5 that we have coming up here for the week after week 9. And in hell, why is that? Yeah, there we go. Covered up there at number 28. The Miami Dolphins at 2-7. I got them back in there, replacing the Cleveland Browns who were on a bye. And the Browns will probably jump back in there afterwards. But, boy, the Dolphins looked really, 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 really bad on Thursday night. And, again, surprised Waddle's not gone. Surprised they didn't trade Waddle. Surprised they haven't really traded anybody. Again, Chubb, I think, isn't Chubb and Minka Fitzpatrick still rumored to be out there? So that's a move that hasn't happened yet, but has been rumored. So they haven't moved anybody like that. They haven't moved Waddle. They haven't moved anybody. Crafty says, "Oh, not that kind of count." No, what? You spent way too much time on the internet, Crafty, because I think I kind of understand what you were talking about. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Number 29, I got the Titans there at 1-8. Again, they're bad. They're trying to sell off some people too. They're going to, like was previously rumored, everybody's on the market except for Cam Ward. And so there they are, 28 at 29. I'm sorry, they were 29, at 30. At 30, the Jets, they were on a bye, but they're still bad. They're 1-7. They were able to get the win over the Bengals, but apparently at this point, everybody can beat the Bengals, unfortunately, no matter how many points the Bengals score. The Cowboys defense, which we all thought might have been the worst defense this year going to the NFL, the Bengals defense said, "Hold my beer and then drop it," because we're terrible as well. 31, the New Orleans Saints at 1-8. And I hate seeing them there because I love the Saints. I love them. I really do. I really root like hell for them, and I really want them to do well. It's just the effort is there, just the talent isn't. And now they've sent Rashid Shaheed out to Seattle there to help out Flock's team. And again, the Seahawks, they're looking real good. Not so for the Saints. And hell, the New York Giants at 2-7. We just can't get out of our way. Life is miserable. Life is pain. And trade everybody except for Brian Burns, Sexy Dexy, and Jackson Dart, and Abdul Carter. Everybody else, get the fuck out. That's what I'm saying. So there's Booty Cheeks 5. For this week, Dolphins at 28, Titans at 29, Jets at 30, Saints at 31, and the Giants are at 32. And deepest, darkest, filthiest fucking hell. Still no breaking news here, as we are now just 12 minutes away from the end. Oh, is that 49? I just switched over. So now we are 11 minutes away from the end of the NFL trade deadline. He said the Jets have lost some close games to division leaders. Yes, they have. They lost to the Steelers early on. They've lost to the Broncos in London, which, again, is why I'm not really super huge and big on the Broncos. And let's find out where I have the Broncos here in our top 10, top 12 power rankings. I didn't say top 10. It's actually top 12. I don't know what's wrong with me. My brain work not good. Do work not well. Do brain. At number 12, I've got the Green Bay Packers at 5-2-1. You can't lose to the Panthers and keep anywhere near the top in this chart. Wildly inconsistent, wildly terrible. Down 5 spots. The Packers looked bad. They got outplayed by the Panthers. And maybe that you can say the Panthers are getting better, or they're improving, and they're doing all that kind of stuff. But you can't. You're the Packers. You're supposed to be better than that. Even with teams that might be middling or getting better or improving, you're still supposed to beat them. Packers didn't. Packers all the way down at number 12, and they're lucky to be there. At number 11, the Kansas City Chiefs, after their close loss to the Bills. Again, another nail-biter up there at Orchard Park in the regular season. The Bills, they can handle their business against the Chiefs there in the regular season. Playoffs is going to be a different story. Will the Chiefs be able to make the playoffs? Again, they're 5-4. I still think they will. Clearly, I think they're good enough. They look better than they did earlier on in the season. Even with this loss, they still look better than what they did. I'm going that the Chiefs will make the playoffs, and we'll see how far they go. Will they win the division? That's going to be the question. But the Chiefs down 2 spots there at number 11. Number 10, as I got the Broncos, only up a spot, and again, not impressive. It took a last-second field goal to win against the Texans, who, again, you could say, well, the Texans' defense might not be that bad. Overall, Texans, bad team. They're not a good team. They're not a good team. So that's why I got even the Broncos 7-2. How can you have a 7-2 team down there? Because they're not an impressive 7-2 team. And like I said in previous streams, I think the Broncos might be the worst 7-2 team I've ever seen. They're really, I mean, and again, you are what your record says you are, but they have yet to play a full game. They've needed a historic comeback against the terrible Giants to win a game. They needed referees' assistance to beat the Eagles. They've needed a lot of help. They've skated by the skin of their teeth with a lot of these games. I just don't see them. They have to be more impressive to me, and they're not there. I really think the Chiefs, talent-wise, are better, and when the Chiefs play the Broncos, I have a feeling the Chiefs are going to win and probably win fairly easily against this Broncos team. At number 9, I've got the Philadelphia Eagles. They're also up. They're up a couple spots. I have them up 3 spots on a bye week. But they made a couple of trades. I think they've improved themselves. And considering how the rest of the teams were falling in between last week and this week, I couldn't knock the Eagles off the list. I really couldn't, being at 6-2. I still have to see them play a full 60-minute game, but I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt because, I mean, they are the defending Super Bowl champions. They do play well when they want to, and when they play well, they're nearly unstoppable. At number 8, I got the 49ers. They beat a Giants team that, again, I have at last place in division. But, again, when you think about the 49ers and the amount of injuries they've had and all of these other problems that they've had, this feels like it's amazing that the 49ers are where they are at 6-3. They're a half a game behind the Seahawks and the Rams in the division. They're right there, and it seems like, they're going to be right there with them. By the way, in the chat, ELS agrees with the Packers at 12, and he doesn't think the Chiefs are going to make the playoffs. Crafty says that the Jaguars' loss could come back to haunt them. ELS then says, I disagree. I think the Broncos beat the Chiefs, and I have the Colts beating the Chiefs. I think the Colts can beat the Chiefs. I think the Colts will 1,000% be in that game, obviously. But I'm not a believer in the Broncos. The Broncos are going to have to show me they can play a full game. They have to show me they can play a full game. And they haven't done that yet. So, again, I am not big. Listen, the Broncos start winning some of these games and start winning impressively and start beating some of these better teams, 1,000% Broncos are going up. But they got to show it to me first. I'm like Missouri, baby. Show me. At number 7, the Buccaneers. They're sitting there at 6-2. They had a bye week. Yeah, this was their bye week. So the Buccaneers, much like the Eagles, sitting around. Again, the Buccaneers, I moved down a spot. Again, just how things kind of shook out here. I usually don't like moving teams in bye weeks, whether up or down, but this week kind of necessitated that there with the Eagles moving up and the Buccaneers just moving down a spot. We'll see how they do coming out of the bye week. But, again, this is not a reflection on the Buccaneers, just of everybody else kind of jostling around here for spots. We got 5 minutes left to go, by the way, in this trade deadline. Before it expires, and we'll see what happens if there's any last-second moves here. At number 6, I have the Bills after that defeat of the Kansas City Chiefs. Up 2 spots to number 6 are the Bills. They look good. Didn't look great, but they look good. They got the job done at home against the Chiefs team that they play, again, fairly well in the regular season. We'll see what happens. Maybe they'll get a couple more pieces here. Maybe, are they going to end up getting Deebo Samuel? Will they get Von Miller in that trade as well? Are they going to make any improvements here at the trade deadline, or are they going to be just the leg of before? We'll see. We'll see what happens. But the Bills I have at 6. At number 5. King, by the way, says ELS in the chat. He says the trade that Schefter says he was working on is actually not going to happen now. So whatever that trade was that he was looking at, apparently not happening according to Adam Schefter. At number 5, the Detroit Lions. They drop 3 spots to number 5 after their loss to the Minnesota Vikings. You come out of the bye, people were kind of already starting to question whether or not, are you consistent enough? That's been the big word of the year, word of the season in the NFL. Inconsistency or being consistent. They've been unable to do that. By the way, apparently Jordan Schultz here saying that despite significant league-wide interest, the Titans are not trading T'Vondre Sweat. T'Vondre Sweat not being traded by the Tennessee Titans. I wonder if that was the particular move that Schefter thought was going to happen and did not, but that is not going to happen there. So, yeah, the Lions I have there at 5, losing to the Vikings at home against J.J. McCarthy coming back and playing his first game. Now, again, they did get 5 sacks on him, and he didn't play the best game or the cleanest game, but he played a game well enough to beat the Lions. And now if you're the Lions, you're sitting there at 5-3. You had a chance to really kind of jump into the division here with the Packers losing and sitting there. You would be sitting there at 6-2. You'd have the division lead. Instead, Packers still lead the division. Again, I still think the Lions are a better team than the Packers as it stands right now, but that's where I have the Lions there at number 5. At number 4, I have the Rams at 6-2 after they went ahead and beat the Saints at home. I have no change there. Again, it was a good win for the Rams. They beat a team they were supposed to beat, and they beat them by what we all thought they should beat them by. Good, solid game. But again, I think there were some other teams that moved up, moved down, had other good games there, and that's where I have them. Grassy says, remember when by the Clowns, I bet you mean, is that the Browns you mean? Probably. Remember when the Clowns arranged a trade with the Bengals but forgot to email the NFL before the trade deadline, so it was null? Yes, I do remember that. I do remember that. And, I mean, that's a move for them, man. At number 3, I have the Patriots. Again, no change for the Patriots. They win, but, boy, as barely as they could against the Falcons team that we all thought that maybe they should have been, that we felt they were better than the Falcons have been. Captain inconsistent, and again, the Patriots win on basically a missed extra point there by the Falcons at the end of the game, which, by the way, the Falcons did release Romo, their kicker, so he is gone. And after earlier getting rid of Younghoe Koo, so the Falcons are just looking for a solid kicker, but also, hey, Falcons, maybe hand the ball off to Bijan. How about that? You might win some more games like that. But for now, the Patriots sitting there at number 3, at 7-2. Patriots at number 3. At number 2, the Seattle Seahawks, man. Again, they are playing amazing here. Oh, we got a deal. Deadline deal here. The Saints are trading offensive lineman Trevor Penning to the Chargers. Chargers getting offensive line help with Alt being out. They desperately, desperately needed that. Jump on over here, back to the main screen. Trevor Penning being traded from the Saints to the Chargers. No word yet on a return yet. But they needed that. The Chargers needed to get some offensive line help with Joe Alt being out now. And we've hit 4 o'clock. So we might get 1 or 2 other trades that come in here late once the paperwork comes in. But right now, the latest trade we have is the Saints trading former first-round tackle guard Trevor Penning to the Chargers. But that's it. That's the latest we have. And let me jump back over here. We'll do the last one here. As I said, Seahawks, arguably the best team in the NFL right now as they're playing. I have them at number 2 because, I want to see him do it again. I want to see him do it again. Do it again, Seattle. Do it again. But Seattle, I have at number 2 at 6-2 as they lead the NFC West currently. And at number 1, even despite the loss, I still have the Colts. It was one bad game, but even so, and we all say the Colts played a real shitty game, they were still a possession away at the end of the game with a chance to tie it. Bad game. It's going to happen. I still think the Colts have been the most consistent NFL team this year. They have played maybe the best. Their offense has played great. They have an amazing point differential. Their defense has played well, and now they got Sauce Gardner. On top of that, Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor have both been playing at an MVP level. Last game, obviously not so much. But, again, I don't think that's going to be the I think last week was the exception, not the rule when it comes to the Colts. So there you go. Top 12, I have the Colts, Seahawks, Patriots, Rams, Lions, Bills, Buccaneers, 49ers, Eagles, Broncos, Chiefs, and Go Packers. That is your power rankings for after Week 9 right here on Stay Tuned Sports. So there we go. We've broken all of that. The Redskins have placed Marshawn Lattimore and Luke McCaffrey on injured reserve for the rest of the year, clearly. So they're gone. And waiting to see if there's any scragglers, any scraggling trades coming through before, you got to wait for all the paperwork to be done. Right now, unless there's anything else that leaks through, the Steelers didn't make a move. The Jets did not get Breece Hall traded. They did not get, they didn't get anybody else traded. We know that Breece Hall was one that was being talked about. As well as Jermaine Johnson was also on the block as well. But apparently it appears that did not go through. It appears that the Redskins did not make a move in getting rid of Deebo Samuel. So that's right, Crafty. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm kind of waiting. Here. Teams can continue to finalize trades after the deadline, provided that they have notified the NFL office that those trades the trade was agreed to and done before the deadline. It's the paperwork has to be, and as long as the NFL knows that the agreement was made before the deadline, the paperwork can come in a little bit late. But it has to be that you have to notify the NFL that the trade has been agreed to and completed, and that it's just the paperwork that has to be handled. That's what the Browns forgot to do that couple of years ago that Crafty was telling us, is that the Browns had a trade with the Bengals. They had agreed to it. But the Browns never told the NFL that they had the trade agreed to and ready to go. So why they had the paperwork and they sent the paperwork in, and the NFL said, too late to do it. And the Browns were like, no, we agreed to it beforehand. And the NFL said, well, you didn't tell us. So if you didn't tell us, it doesn't work. Block in the chat saying that Breece Hall is not happy, and I wouldn't imagine so. He was demanding a trade, wanted to get a trade, and did not. Breece, his tweet right now said, sick about my brothers, man. Happy for them, but man, I'm sick right now. Like if I'm Breece, I might do that. I might just sit out. Yeah. As that just popped in now, yeah, you see there in the chat there, the Breece Hall tweet just came through. Schefter says, despite getting calls for Jalen Waddle and Bradley Chubb, the Dolphins did not make another deal before the deadline and opted to hold on to both, which is dumb. I think that's a bad move on the Dolphins' part. I think it's a bad move that the Jets didn't trade Breece Hall. Again, you're just going to let him go. Now he's going to go and get nothing because he's not going to sign for you. Like, what are you going to do? You're not signing him to another deal. He's not going to sign with you. He's unhappy there. He doesn't want to be there. So, Breece Hall, you missed an opportunity to get at least something for Breece Hall, even if it was a fourth. It would at least be a fourth. It would be another draft pick. You'd have something. Unbelievable. And like you've already given up on everything else. You've already gave up Sauce. You gave up Quinnen. Who gives? Like again, your Breece Hall's not going to be on your team next year anyway. You know this. This is a well-established fact. Why would you not trade him and get at least something? If you got a bag of balls for him, it's better than nothing. Like, it's just silly. I find that silly from the Jets part. So it's like you look at the Jets and it's like, yeah, they did a fire sale, but they still found a way to do something dumb with the fire sale. Gretzy says, what? The Dolphins did something dumb? In other news, water is wet. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the Dolphins. If I was the Dolphins, I figured you would have done maybe a little bit more with what you had. And we are currently about 8 minutes past the deadline. I don't know when all the official paperwork is done and when it will be officially official that all the news is done. Jets they're talking about the Jets having a bunch of draft picks. Yeah. If you're a Steelers fan, like unless something really late comes across here, I think you've got to be a little underwhelmed. Nothing. You could have gotten Olave. You could have gotten if you got Rashid Shaheed, I think it would have been better. Instead, he goes to Seattle, and you don't get anybody. And it feels like the Steelers maybe needed a piece or two. Just didn't do it. Trying to see if there's anything coming through. It doesn't look like it. By the way, ELS giving us some other news while we wait to see if there's any last-second paperwork deals here that come through. In college hockey, this comes from ELS. In college hockey, the CCHA Rookie of the Month for October is Tadon Tembrecki of Michigan Tech. His 9 points, 5 goals, and 4 assists were tops in the league among first-year skaters and 5th nationally. There you go. Congratulations, Tadon. Nathaniel in the chat says, we got rid of 2 key players, and I'm not mad. Nathaniel, I'm going to imagine you're a Jets fan, Nathaniel. And if that's the case, yeah, man. Like, I think you could have probably still gotten something for Breece Hall and probably better than getting nothing for him, which is what's going to happen now. But you got to figure the Jets, over the next 2 years, they got a first-round pick in 2026. They have another first-round pick in 2026. They've got their second 2026, and another second-round pick in 20. So they got 2 first, 2 second-round picks in 2026. And then 2027, they have their own first-round pick. They have a first-round pick from Dallas, and they have a first-round pick from Indianapolis. So 2 first rounds and 2 second rounds in 2026 and 3 first-rounders in 2027. I think the only problem is when it comes to Jet fans. And again, my brother's a Jet fan. I'm here in the New York area, so there's a lot of Jet fans, and I interact with a lot of them too. The feeling I get from most other Jet fans is, hey, rebuild number 37. Let's see if it works this time. That's what it feels like. Feels like, yeah, all right, fine. This all looks great. The draft picks look great. This is great for a rebuild and try to go ahead and do that. But we've seen this movie before, and it never ends well when it comes to Jet fans. So that's the feeling I'm kind of getting. It seems like you are a little bit more optimistic, and that's probably a good place to be. Because trying to just be sad and pessimistic all the time is probably not great. I get it's hard for a Jet fan to be optimistic. I understand that as well, Nathaniel. But as you say, Nathaniel in the chat, he goes, in the next 2 years, we have 5 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks. And on top of that, we've gained roughly $100 million in cap space. So, yeah. I mean, again, looking at it from that perspective, optimism. You have all this futures ahead of you, the unknown. You never know. Great things could happen. Great things in front of you. But I think the problem when it comes to most Jet fans, like the ones I have seen, and the ones I've interacted with, Nathaniel, is that they're like, for any other team, this would be great and wonderful news, and like, wow, this is great how we're gonna rebuild from here. But for Jet fans, the sentiment I'm getting is, I'll believe it when I see it. It's like, this looks great. This is a great way to start a rebuild. Absolutely. Will the team actually be able to rebuild from this? Is what I'm getting from Jet fans. So, I certainly hope so. Boy, if there's a fan base that deserves some happiness of some kind, it is the New York Jetropolitans. And I certainly hope that they do. But, like, as far as feeling the pulse of Jet Nation right now, that seems to be the flow I'm getting is all right, great, but instead of being optimistic, a lot of Jet fans are saying, how are we going to screw this up, is basically what I'm getting. So we'll see, Nathaniel. I certainly hope that your viewpoint is what happens. I'm certainly hoping that is the future that is there for the Jet fan. Nathaniel says, with that trade that we got, I believe that we will win more games this year, 2 or 3 more wins. We are building for the future, not now. We already know that we're going to be we already know that we're going to be dog shit this year. It's not that you're going to be dog shit this year. You are dog shit. Like, let's be honest. As a Giants fan, we're dog shit as well. I get it. But the Jets already are better. That's why they got rid of everybody. And I understand that I understand that it's building towards the future. I understand that it's for the rebuilding process. I think the question is just, do you trust the Jets' ability to rebuild? Is basically, I think, what I'm saying. And like I said, from what I'm getting from Jet fans, slam that down too hard. What I'm getting from Jet fans is they have a history of this, and they do. Again, I grew up here in the New York, New Jersey area my whole life, so I'm very aware of the Jets' history. I rooted like hell for them when they made it to back-to-back AFC Championship games. I was hoping like hell that they were going to win. They unfortunately did not. I remember back when they were with Parcells in the AFC Championship game against the Broncos, hoping like hell they won that game. They did not. I was really, really, really pushing for that when it came to the Jets. And I've also seen the in-between of when they were rebuilding and when, we're going to rebuild and we're going to draft and we're going to get these people in here. We're going to build something here, and it just never came true. And now you're talking about it's been 15 years since the Jets have even been in the playoffs, or longer than that now. And it's bad. Nathaniel in the chat says, in my opinion, the most unknown team right now is the Cleveland Browns. I have no idea why they didn't trade Kajoku away, and they should have. I think there's a couple. And by the way, Flock says, yep, that is it. All the trades are done. So any last minute paperwork or anything like that is not through. We were at 4:16. We're 16 minutes past the deadline now. So that is it. This comes from Field Yates, by the way. With the trade deadline now past us, any player that is released by his team is now subject to the NFL's waiver system. Previously, it was just players with less than 4 accrued seasons. Vested veterans will not be able to be released and sign with a new team right away. And there we go. Yeah, so Trevor Penning, is the last trade of the 2025 trade deadline, going from the Saints over to the Chargers. Go, who needed a little bit of help with Joe Alt being injured. But that's it. All the trades are done, and another trade deadline done. It was a good one. It was a fun one. The Jets had a fire sale and still didn't get rid of everybody who I think they should have. I think Brees. Here's my question. Here's my thing, and I'll ask Nathaniel this in the chat since he's the Jet fan in there. Knowing that Brees Hall does not want to be in Florham Park, he does not want to be on the Jets, and that his contract is over this year. So when the season's over, he becomes a free agent, and he is not going to re-sign with the New York Jets. Why would you not trade him for at least something? Like you said, you already know you're giving up this year. You already know, that you're going to be dog shit in your words, and that you're building for the future. Why wouldn't you trade him, even if it's for a bag of balls? And from what I heard, it was the 4th-round pick was the highest offer that they had for him, and the Jets were holding firm on a 3. Well, now you're going to get nothing for him. So how do you feel like? Do you feel like that's something that the Jets should have also done, or you feel disappointed by that? Because to me, it feels like the Jets got rid of Sauce, they got rid of Quinnen, and they got good hauls for that. But you should have been able to go ahead and get rid of Brees too, and at least get something. And now you're not. Nathaniel hoping on. He's got that hope that Dan Campbell brought to Detroit. He says, with the coaching staff that we have now, I believe that we are going to have a lot of similarities to what Dan Campbell did in Detroit. Hopefully that is going to be the future of Florham Park there. And I'm worried about Woody Johnson doing some dumbass shit. That's what I'm worried about. As well you should be, I think. That's always a concern and a worry as well. But yeah, man, like I said, but with my thing here is like I think the Jets did a lot of good work, but I think you had a chance to add to that draft pick collection that you have there. Basically, you could basically start an expansion draft with the amount of draft picks that the Jets have, and maybe could have had too if you got rid of Brees Hall and gotten a haul for Hall. But I think missing out on that was bad. Like I understand, like I wouldn't trade Garrett Wilson either. You want to have at least some piece of foundation there for the future. So I think keeping Garrett Wilson there is 100%. But Brees Hall, who's already made it very well known he does not want to be there, to not at least get something for him, I think is a missed opportunity from the Jets. I think from that standpoint of the teams that were sellers, I think the Jets won. I think the Jets won the trade line from the team that were sellers. As far as who won for the teams that were buyers, like, hard to say. It's not the Cowboys. Again, are they going to be able to put things together on that defense and get everybody integrated? And that will there be an instant improvement on that defense? Maybe, but I think the Cowboys, with the moves they made I think they made enough moves to where you could say they maybe won the trade deadline. Nathaniel says injuries is what bit the Giants in the butt this year. I was heartbroken when I saw that Scatterbo go down with that injury. Yeah, that was bad. Neighbors gone. Like, yeah, as a Giants fan, it's just kind of used to it at this point. ELS says that ELS thinks that it's the Colts who won. He thinks getting Sauce Gardner that is a big help on their defense. You can also argue the Seahawks getting Rashid Shaheed to kind of be the wide receiver 2 behind Jackson Smith and Jigba, and or help out what has already been a very good offense these past 9 weeks. And the Seahawks seem to be hitting their stride right now. So, I mean, you can make an argument of maybe the Seahawks did enough. But I'm talking about just on the level of improvement. I think right now, on paper, the Cowboys' defense has improved significantly with these last couple trades they made from what they had. Are they going to be a fantastic, great NFL defense? I'm not saying they are. But I think their defense is going to be a lot better than the joke that they've been for these past 9 weeks. So that is going to be the deal. The Saints, they trade Trevor Penning over to the Chargers. Chargers giving up a 6th-round pick in 2027. So not even a pick in this year, this upcoming draft, but in 2 years, 2027. So that is what yeah, I see that. I knew what you meant, ELS. I knew what you meant. The Lions have released Kenny Yeba. Falcons have signed Andrew Stueber to the 53-man roster. Zach Triner to the practice squad. Released Jonathan Parker-Romo, obviously the kicker we talked about. Ben Sauls to sign Zane Gonzalez as their new kicker. Nathaniel in the chat says, in my opinion, I don't think we're going to get rid of Breece Hall next season. We will sign him to a comparable contract, and we're going to franchise tag him, keep Breece Hall. Boy, I don't know, because I think Breece is I wouldn't be surprised if Breece wants to sit out the rest of this season. Like he's already made it very well known, even before this trade deadline, that he did not want to be in New York. He does not want to be in Florham Park. He does not want to play with the Jets. He's made that very well known even earlier on in the season, and now especially here. And apparently he did hand in a formal trade request today and said, get me out of here. Now, that didn't happen. Now, the Jets can sit there and say they want to franchise tag him all he wants, and then he can just sit out and just say, I'm not doing that. I am not playing for you. And then they could play hardball and do all that kind of stuff. And at that point, then, what are you doing? At that point, you're just eating a spot. There's just that, we don't have to pay him. He's going to get fined. That's fine. He doesn't care. He's not moving until he is gone from your team. I don't think Breece Hall is going to play another game for the Jets after this season ends. And I think, he might come down with a knee twinge and say like, I don't know if I can go. Let me check with the doctors, and kind of maybe sit out a couple weeks too. Like he doesn't want to be there. He's made that clear. So I don't think the Jets are signing him. I don't think he will sign with the Jets, and if the Jets want to do that and kind of hold him hostage with the franchise tag, I think he'll just say, all right, I'll either pull a Micah or I'll pull some, I will just sit out. No, I see what you mean by that, but also you have to look at the situation. I get that. Nathaniel in the chat, he says, all I can say is that you have to look at what we have for running backs. Breece Hall is the best running back we have right now, and we want to keep that. And again, he hasn't had great stats coming up here this season. And again, nobody from the Jets is really doing anything great, so take that with a grain of salt. But situationally, you got to realize he's in the last year of his deal. He has publicly and vocally made it known he does not want to be a New York Jet moving forward, enough so that he was hoping to be traded before the deadline and even handed in a formal trade request, as has been reported by multiple sources. Even posted the ellipses on his Twitter today, just kind of showing waiting my turn, So looking at all those factors and looking at that situation as it stands, it's either he's not going to play on the Jets next year or the Jets are going to try to hold him hostage to play with the franchise tag, and then he's still going to sit out, and he's still not going to play for the Jets. And instead it just becomes another mess and a PR mess, and another thing that, like you said, Woody Johnson would screw up. And that's what I mean, is like, to me, it feels like it just would have been better for everybody involved, for the Jets, for Breece Hall, for everybody. Send him on his way, get what you can get for him, add that to your collection of draft picks and your pot of gold, and see what you could do with that. Either use them as drafts and actually pick the players, use them as trade bait in the future. You could do any number of things with it. I just think that would have been the smarter way to go about it. I think if they try to play hardball with them, it's just going to be another PR nightmare for the Jets. And boy, they've had enough of those. Crafty in the chat says, Woody Johnson, more like won't he Johnson. Cheers, Crafty. Dad joke champion, undefeated, and forever will be. Nathaniel says, do you think after the season Brian Daboll is fired? Boy, I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so. And I certainly hope that Shane Bowen goes with him, as does Mike Kafka. Apparently, there's people out there that want Mike Kafka to be their head coach. Go nuts. Have fun, guys. You do that. That's great. Take them. Take them off the hands, please. Take them all of them. Brian Daboll is terrible. He's got a 20-38-1 record as New York Giants head coach. He has one winning season, and it was barely a winning season at 9-7-1, where Daniel Jones dragged that team over the finish line and got them a playoff win in Minnesota, playing a game like you can see him play now in Indianapolis every week. And somehow Brian Daboll couldn't make it work with Daniel Jones. But yeah, so that's I think that's it. Yeah, so obviously all the trades are done. Everything came through. If you're a Steelers fan, I think you're disappointed. If you're maybe a Dolphins fan, you're kind of maybe a little bit disappointed that you didn't get any draft picks. I think if you're a Jets fan, I think as Nathaniel is, and as he even said in here, I think, again, outside of the Breece Hall thing, which we can debate, which we've done here a little bit, the Jets have done a fantastic job of building draft capital and building for the future. It's just, will they be able to get that done in the future? We're going to see. Crafty in the chat answering, he's like, do you think Daboll's going to be fired? And King is like, if there's a higher power in this universe, yes. And if we're lucky, it'll be before the season ends. So I have a little something to be happy about during the actual season. We'll see here. But I think the Jets did well, and I think the Jets won the trade deadline for the teams that were sellers. I think if you're one of the selling teams, I don't think you could do better than what the Jets did. And good for them. And good for them. And again, hopefully this time, it's a brighter future for the New York Jetropolitans. But yeah, that's going to do it for the trade deadline special here on Stay Tuned Sports. I want to thank everybody who joined us. ELS, Crafty, Flock, who was in here, Nathaniel, Jet fan. Again, I think you have a lot to look forward to in the future. Again, if the Jets can build on that, and if Woody Johnson doesn't fuck it up, that's the rub, as they say. But I want to thank everybody who joined us in the chat, just viewing, all of that. Thank you for being here with us on this little impromptu hangout for the last couple hours here, for the last 2 hours. Again, if you want to help out at all, please hit that like, share, and if you're brand new here, hit that subscribe button, as we're on our way to 1,000 subscribers and hopefully being monetized here on the platform, and we'd certainly appreciate that. If you want to help us out in a little bit more direct fashion, again, since we can't have super chats or members or anything like that, we have our donation station link in the description below. Also, we have our merch store link down there as well. That's at bit.ly/staytunedmerch. We have the link down there that you can go to. And also, while you're there, you can go ahead and get your Fuck the Ref shirt, both in hoodie and t-shirt. It is available right now, and it comes printed with the pixelated there, so you don't have to worry about offending any of your church-going folks in your town. But everybody in the stadium and every NFL fan should know this, especially this season, the way the refs have been. Fuck the refs. Get your shirts available now. Merch store link in the description below, or just go to bit.ly/staytunedmerch to get your shirt. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's going to do it here. We will see you tomorrow for the regular show, the podcast. That'll be up in just a little bit then there. And then Thursday night. Who's playing Thursday night? Why did I forget that already? Oh, my God. Oh, Raiders, Broncos. We got to watch that game? Ugh. So we'll have the Raiders, Broncos on Thursday. And then I'm most likely going to do the Germany game, Falcons versus Colts on Sunday, the early Sunday game. And we'll see. When are the Giants playing? Oh, the Giants got a bye? Nope, we're playing the Bears at 1. So I'll do the early game, then I'll do the Giants game. Then is there any good games late? Cardinals, Seahawks, Seahawks, Chargers. Rams, 49ers might be the best one, but I might skip the 4 o'clock games and then go right to Steelers, Chargers there on Sunday night, and then Eagles, Packers on Monday night. So that's what it's kind of looking like coming up for the next week of the live watch-alongs. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, my name is King. This has been Stay Tuned Sports. Everybody, have a great rest of your Tuesday.